Hello and welcome everyone to a new series on building with Buchanan. My name is Mr. Buchanan and today I'm going to show you a brief introduction of a program called Inkscape, which we use to cut and engrave wood and other materials with our laser cutter. So this series is meant to be a basic tutorial for my students, but if you're following at home, the good news is that Inkscape is a free software. In fact, pretty much all my tutorials use free software, so if YouTube just directed you towards me, then sweet. Uh, Go ahead and download Inkscape and follow along. I'm using Inkscape 0.48 for this video, so if this is sometime in the future, you might find that the buttons I'm using are in a different place. But anyway, let's get into it. So I'm going to open Inkscape. You're going to find it on your desktop here. If you don't find it on your desktop, you can go to the Start menu and search for Programs and type in Inkscape, and by the time you get to INK, you should have that pop up, and then you can open it. Okay, I don't need two, I just need one. So let's make this a little bigger so we can see what we're doing and get into it. So right off the bat, you're going to see that there are buttons everywhere. I don't even know what they all do. Don't worry, you don't need to know what they all do. What we need to do is just get started and figure out how the laser engraver works. And this program is going to help us make the shapes and everything that we need to laser cut and engrave. So the first thing I want to do with this is open up document properties here under File, because you're going to notice that all of our units are all in pixels. And I don't really know how big a pixel is myself. I do know how big inches are. Most people know how big inches are. So good, this is going to help us scale everything. The second thing we're going to want to do in document properties here, go to the custom size little box, because the bed of our laser engraver is 24 inches by 12 inches. So this way, whatever we make on this sheet here, we know it's going to fit in the laser engraver because our sheet size is the same size as our laser engraver. Okay, so let's close that out. So the first thing I want to show you is just sort of how to navigate in here. Because once in a while, you're going to find yourself, whoops, in white space, and you have no idea what's going on. And if you try to move left or right, you just won't see anything. So one indication is if you look up at the top here, I can see my units, and I know that there's 9 inches, there's 10 inches, so that's 1 inch in there, so I'm zoomed way in. So I just need to zoom out all the way, and no matter how far I zoom out, you're still going to be able to see your document in there, and then we can zoom back in. So how am I zooming, you might ask? Well, I'm using the scroll wheel on the mouse. Now, if you just use the scroll wheel to go up and down, the whole document just moves up and down. If you click the scroll wheel and move around, then the whole document can move left or right or whichever way you need it to go. If you hold down Control and then use the scroll wheel, then everything zooms in and out. So why don't you give that a try? Now, let's start with some shapes. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit because I'm going to make a little tiny, like a keychain fob. And it's going to be 2 inches by 1 inch. So I may as well zoom right in so that I have between 0 to 2 inches covering most of my screen here. And click that middle scroll wheel to move it around just so that it's kind of centered. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is make a rectangle. So I want it to be about 2 inches wide and about 1 inch tall. So it's going to be something like that. Of course, I didn't get it exactly 2 inches by 1 inch. That would be pretty much impossible. But what we can do is we can actually type in the numbers up here of exactly the size we want. So I want this to be exactly 2 inches, and I want it to be exactly 1 inch. Now, I just clicked on here and did 2, and then I hit Tab, and it jumped over to there, and I hit 1. You can hit Enter, and it will enter that number, and it stays in there. Good. So now we got a box. We know our box is exactly 2 inches by 1 inch. Okay. So if I hit Escape, all of a sudden my box isn't selected anymore. If I hit Escape again, well, not much happens. I go try to click my box to move it around, and oh, I made another box. So, why did this happen? Well, I'm still on the box setting right here. If I need to move and transform objects, I need to get onto the Select and Transform Objects tool. So I'm going to delete this one. So the hotkey for this is F1. So whenever you're in the middle of something, you're making circles or whatever it is you want to make, just hit F1 and then you can select your things and start moving them around again. Okay, you can hit delete. One more handy tool, which you're going to want to learn, is undo. Undo is the same in pretty much any computer program. It's just Control Z. Now, when I did Control Z there, it undid my deleting of this oval. So you can also select it with the selecting tool and hit the delete button on the computer, and that will also delete things. So let's say that I'm typing something out, and whoa, I don't like that. Okay. If I just do Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, that takes the numbers out, the letters out, my bad, sorry. If I want to put those back in, you hit Control, you hold Control and Shift, and you hit Z. And that redoes all the steps that you did, just in case you need to know that. Okay, so I'm going to undo all these things. I'm going to leave it as just a box, and I'm going to stop this video now and pick up in the next one.